Hey squad, welcome back. Now today I'm going to give you a brief breakdown on how I achieve my lo-fi music production sound using just a few essential plugins as well as a couple of production techniques. So let's get into it. So to kick things off, let me play back a section of the finished production with everything included. Then we'll go back and I'll show you how we actually got here. Ooh, I'm really feeling that vibe. Okay, so let me break things down for you. So essentially, all we've got going on here in terms of the production itself is we've got some drums. Let's solo that. Then I've got a bass line. Now I love using the Native Instruments Alicia Keys suite, and that's what I'm using right here. Of course, everything's been bounced down to audio, so have a quick listen to how this is put together. Okay, cool. I'm using the Alicia Keys plugin again, and this time I've got some reversed piano chords playing against the original bit I put down. And then I've got this bell sound right here. Okay, and nice and subtle in the background. And finally, I've got a two-part harmony of some simple vocal humming. And essentially, that's the foundation of the track. Now, to get it from here into that cool, smooth, lo-fi vibe, that's where the plugins come in. Okay, so let's quickly go through each part and I'll show you how the sound is actually achieved. First things first, my drums. Let's solo the drums and let's bring up the plugins that are on the drums. So I've got a Logic single band EQ, Logic spreader, and the Waves Maserati GRP on my drums. At the very top of the track, I've got some automation going on. So if I was to go like this, you'll see I've got the single band EQ operating up until this point, and then we're bypassed during this little gap here. We're filtering all frequencies in the drums below 1000 Hertz. So let's show you what that sounds like. So once we cross this node right here, the single band EQ plugin is bypassed and then all of the drum frequencies come through. Next thing I've got going on here is the Maserati GRP plugin, which I love to bits. It gives a great analog feel and quality to my productions, and I'm using it more and more these days. Let's bypass and then bring them in on the drums. Cool. And now I'm going to use the Logic spreader. It's a bit unconventional doing this, but it definitely works for what I'm trying to achieve in this particular production. Have a listen to the drums bypassed, and then when I bring in this plugin. Bypassed. And then back in. Do you feel that stereo width that I'm adding just by using this plugin? Again, you're not going to use it on all tracks, but if you want to create some additional stereo character to specific elements in a mix, this is one that does an amazing job. Next up, I've got these drums down here, a set of reverse drums, and I've got exactly the same drum plugins on this track, but the single band EQ is active all the way through. Have a listen. Great. Okay, next up is my bass line, and you know I love to include my electric bass in my productions. So here's the dry version of the bass. Okay, and now I've introduced the Logic linear phase EQ, and I'm filtering a ton of the top end off, and I'm going to one of my favorite plugins for bass, which is the Waves CLA Bass. Now listen to this when I bring it in. Now this combo is adding some warmth to the bass that I absolutely love. Okay, so for my piano sounds, I'm using 3 very specific plugins and in a very particular way. So first of all, I've got the Waves Greg Wells Piano Centric. Have a listen to what this does to my keys. The other 2 are bypassed for the moment, and I've got both of my piano sounds sent to a bus right here. So I've got my piano bus. So let's give you a little bit of the piano with the Greg Wells on and off. Deactivated, and then back on. Now this plugin adds such richness, color and brightness to the pianos. It really is a must. If you're mixing pianos in your production, then definitely check this one out. Now another thing I'm doing to the piano bus is I'm automating this main dial right here on the piano centric. So let's play back from this section right here. Okay, so at this point I've changed the tonal characteristics of the piano using this plugin, and over time I'm gently going to be opening it up just like so until we fully re-engage here, and then we drop off again over here, and that is all done via automation. Now besides the piano centric, I'm also using these 2 lo-fi plugins on the pianos just to add that lo-fi character. So let's play back the pianos and switch them in so you can hear what's going on. Okay, now we're getting more and more into that lo-fi zone. Okay, so the vocal section is real simple. It's just a humming. It's a 2-part harmony, and I'm using the Waves Lofi Space to add some echo and reverb. I'm also using the Greg Wells Voice Centric plugin on here. Of course, I've got both of these going to a bus, and I'm using Logic's Auto Filter. So let's play back the section with both of these switched in. Then I'll switch in the auto filter using the stereo wide panner preset so you can hear what this does to the vocals. Lovely. And it's all about the subtleties. It's all about keeping things real simple, but having a bit of movement, gentle movement, to continue to create interest in the piece. Okay, so we're here. We've put all the main ingredients into the production, and now we're going to cover this with the icing. To do so, we're going to use these very specific plugins right here. All of these are Waves plugins, and I have covered the Abbey Road Vinyl before, which is an absolutely brilliant plugin for adding character to your mixes and your masters. And of course, I'm using my #1 Waves plugin, which is the L3 Ultramaximizer. But in terms of the lo-fi character that I want to add to this production, this one right here, the Retrofy, does everything. You can choose different devices from different time periods. You can adjust all of these parameters in relation to the device. Over here, you've got acoustic effects such as reverb and echo. Once again, you've got lots of control on how the signal interacts with the acoustic space. We've got a selection of different noise characteristics that we can add: cassette tapes, digital noise, electric noise, effects, mechanical, synth, and vinyl. We're going for vinyl 6 right here. And of course, once again, you've got control over how that noise is incorporated into the overall sound. And then you've got mechanics over here, so the amount of wobble and wow and the speed of that. And down here you've got some filters: a high pass filter, low pass filter, and a mono control. All of these things, using the right measure, can absolutely transform your production, especially if you're doing lo-fi. Now, you don't have to use them all, and I don't use them all. I'm very selective in what I use and how I incorporate it. So definitely one you should consider if you're making lo-fi tracks. The next thing we've got down here is another one of my favorites. It's the Abbey Road TG mastering chain. And this here is a fantastic plugin for mastering. It's going to give you that analog feel and some very distinctive characteristics. There's tons you can do in terms of adjustment on here, which we really haven't got time to go through today in this video, but just know that it's going to add something special to the overall tone of this production. And finally, to manage the overall level, I've got my brick wall limiter right here, the L3, just to make sure that we avoid clipping and distortion of the signal. So I'm going to play back the track and bring these in so you can hear what they're adding to the production.